Hey, welcome back to the VET S.O.S podcast brought to you by the Who You Know Network. We are proud members of the Parade Deck community. Remember, don't drown the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline. I got an exciting announcement. We're very excited to announce that our new partnership with Reach Across America Radio, VET S.O.S, can now be heard on Reach Across America Radio on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can find Reach Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Find the channel by searching the word Wreath. We're so glad to be partnered with them and looking forward to doing some great things. We're excited to have David Tenenbaum here with us today to talk about the Heroes Network and Honor Media. I love sitting down with David. It's always a good time and usually a very, 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 very long conversation. But we're on a timeline today, so we get to cut him off when we have to end the show.
Thanks for that, Shawn. Hey, no get paid to talk, okay, like you.
Oh, man. So I'm here again with Keith as our co-host while Eric's out on mission. How are you doing today, Keith?
Living the dream, brother. It's as always, it's an honor to be here and be able to fill in for Eric and be the professional cutter offer of David today as necessary.
Nice. Bring in the hammer. All right. So we're going to jump right into the introduction. We got David. He's an Air Force veteran on a mission to empower the national veteran community and bolster veteran advocacy organizations. He serves as the director of Heroes Network, the veteran community's professional online network where heroes are connected with volunteer advisors, veteran-friendly jobs, and extensive free resources. He is also the founder of Honor Media, which through original productions, social media, and innovative services creates a more engaging dialogue between America and veteran-serving entities. He's a native Angelino.
You betcha.
How you say it? And lives in Hollywood. David, it's so great to have you on, man. How are you doing today?
Good. I like the fact the mere uttering of that anyone from Los Angeles is just difficult to pronounce. California. Good. It's a great day here in Hollywood, and proud to be here. Actually, it's despite what's happening in LA, or it's an amazing city, and it's a very good place for creative folks, and it's it has to be the home of creativity. We got to keep it that way. So
absolutely. I think I saw. Oh, it was Jerry Seinfeld. Didn't he come out and say something about movies being dead or the movie industry being dead?
Well, take it from any other 65-year-old man about creativity, and he may or may not be right. But this is I think I've learned, what proximity matters. Like what's the classic line? The 5 people you surround yourself by, you're most alike. I think there's also something to be said, though, about location and proximity to organizations, companies, creative communities, industries. And I think in Hollywood, we literally are surrounded by writers, directors, producers, actors, stunt folks, and it goes on. And for what I do and for what my gal does, this is a perfect place for us. So
outstanding.
Whether Jerry's right or not, it doesn't matter. We are.
Absolutely. And we're not going to jump into whether he's right or wrong. That is for someone else to decide. All right. So Air Force veteran, tell us about the transition. How'd your transition go when you left the Air Force?
Yeah, I would like to sign up for the Did It All Wrong Club. Thought I knew what I was doing club. I would like to be one of the millions upon millions of vets who no, I got this. Trust me. I was great in the military. Therefore, I'll be great as a civilian. How quickly did I learn? That was not the case. I think I had something really working against me, which I wasn't aware of. I was a captain when I separated. I had a master's degree. I was a private pilot. I was an instructor navigator. I was a foreign area officer as my secondary career field. As I had a few things that I thought were chips on my shoulders. Highest deployed member of the squadron. We received an Air Force-wide reconnaissance crew award. Like, I did everything I possibly could do in the Air Force. And when I got out, I realized, no one really recognizes that. And where I came, I thought I'd go from strength to strength. But in the civilian sector, I quickly realized, I am one of 100+ applicants for this program manager at Boeing or Northrop Grumman. And if I don't maybe know them or have met with them, or if my resume isn't matching perfectly to the job requirements. If my hair was a little too long, which it was at the time, if I don't interview well, if it goes on and on and on, and so my transition, in short, didn't go well, and for some time, I was exploring everything from entrepreneurship to haphazard jobs, and ultimately, it took me a while to kind of settle in to a few different arenas, and also find out what I wanted to do. It's not easy going from a powerful, profound career like the ones we have in uniform to what do we want to do next, and that wasn't inherently obvious to me to begin with. And at approaching 50 years old, it's still not crystal clear, what I want my exact future to be. So, long story short, my transition was difficult, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm in veteran advocacy today, is to kind of share those hard-earned lessons with other folks to prevent them from being in the muck.
Yeah, that's what's great about our community is people being willing to come out and talk about their struggles, how bad their transition went, and they're willing to continue to get back to the community. So I absolutely love the fact that our community does that, because it makes us that much stronger, and it hopefully helps people behind us not do the same things. And so that's just great, and we're glad to have you in the community doing the things you're doing. It's just fantastic.
Amen. I think vice versa. There's what you do and what there's a few other orgs do to help promote resources and how to best transition people, books, orgs, even the VA. There are solutions and resources out there. There's insight out there. And, I get it. If someone said to me, hey, listen, David, we're going to revamp your life for the better. We're going to work on diet, exercise, lifestyle, and this isn't a 1 day a week, this is a 5 or 7 day a week full-time focus, I'd be like, this sounds daunting, and what's the payoff? And I think transitioning is kind of like that. Transitioning is, well, what is our new identity? Who are we? What language do we speak now? What clothing do we wear? Where do we live? Who are our new friends? What's the focus with our new profession? How do we learn the language of corporate success, if that's the direction someone wants to head? And so it's daunting, but resources like the VET S.O.S podcast, and I'd like to mention Heroes Network, of course. I think there are solutions out there that just take a little bit of leveraging for a good payoff.
Absolutely. I can't disagree. Can't disagree at all. What do you think, Keith? Is he on the right path here?
Oh yeah. No, I can relate with a lot of what he said. Yeah, my transition was terrifying. Not so much because I thought I had it all. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I did make one major mistake. I put all my eggs in one basket and thought I'd be a shoe. I was going to go law enforcement. Why wouldn't they want a 20-something year Army vet? And they did initially, until that basket shattered along the way in the process, and I was left standing there figuring out what I wanted to be when I grew up all over again. And then I fell into that, like so many other service members do when we transition out. Just that whole terrifying. A lot of the gray in this beard, I think, is attributed to that. So I'm not allowed to say it's my wife or kids. So yeah. So with that said, I mean, it's such an amazing resource that you've stood up and created and founded. So please tell us a little bit, and our listeners, about the Heroes Network.
Thank you. I thank you for the chance to speak about Heroes Network. I'm very proud of it, and I when I launched, well, I guess the short of it is Heroes Network is the veteran community's professional network. And we realized that at Heroes Linked was where do veterans go? There's a variety of mentor platforms, and we're grateful that they're out there. American corporate partners for one-on-one long-term mentorship. There's Veterati, of course, short-term mentorship, and then there's Heroes Network. And what we wanted to create was an environment where any member can go, whether they're currently serving, they're a veteran, they're a military spouse, they're a veteran spouse, or they're a Gold Star family member, and they can hop in the network and immediately connect with not only the entirety of the veteran community in that regard, other veterans, other folks serving, other Gold Star spouses, but also volunteer advisors like Mr. Shawn Welsh, with volunteer advisors who say, hey, we've got some wisdom to share with the world, and we'd love to hop on a call or an email exchange or a text exchange or a video call and rap about anything from using the GI Bill to how to leverage LinkedIn, how to start a job, how to make a lateral move, how to make a vertical move, how to transition, how to write a book, how to do anything that someone else might know about, where we can leverage their experience. And that's a pretty substantial body of insight, and there's a pretty substantial body of human capital in Heroes Network. And I'd say the biggest difference between Heroes Network and either the LinkedIns of the world or the mentorships platform is, when folks go through TAP or in the transition, they're encouraged for those informational interviews. Well, the folks they may be reaching out to might not be receptive to them or want them or anything. And at least on Heroes Network, our advisors are there for that explicit reason to share their insight. They want those conversations. They want to impart their wisdom. They want to impart the wisdom that comes with a long gray beard and years of experience on this earth. And then,
it sounds like a perfect spot to drop your logo there, Keith.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. There we go. Boom. There it is.
Bam. Did I tee that up? Did I tee it up slowly enough?
Softball just right out of the park.
And true to form about Heroes Network, we wanted the human capital component, the advisors, the folks were a place where folks can go online and connect, but also includes like a ton of veteran-friendly employers, a directory of those veteran-friendly employers, their jobs, and then extensive resources. And I'm proud of the fact that Heroes Network plays well with other orgs. We are not just a PA system or a sounding board or a cheerleader for them as well, but we want veterans to know about all the resources that are out there. We solve a lot of problems, we think, on the Heroes Network side, but there's an infinitum of other VSOs and orgs and entities that can help veterans in every way, shape, and form. Civic engagement, civic leadership, fitness, mental well-being, physical well-being, entrepreneurship. There's home resources. There's so much more beyond just let's connect two people and see what insight comes from it. So
that's amazing stuff. And yeah, such a valuable resource. So I'm just trying to so our listeners, right, that may not have heard of this before, what can they expect when they log in and create an account? Like, is it just just a giant chat board of people just throwing all kinds of conversations, or are there going to be categories for the various niches that you've talked about, right? So hey, there's a category for VSOs, and you got SMEs that are just talking about VSO stuff, and vice versa.
Excellent question. So Heroes Network mimics very, very closely LinkedIn. So creating a login, it's completely free. Creating a user profile, it's a professional profile. So in fact, Heroes Network users can actually import their LinkedIn profile. So setting a profile takes us 1 to 2 minutes. We ask a few more questions that LinkedIn doesn't. We really want to focus on maybe their career goals. If they're a hero, if they're an advisee, so to speak, a veteran, someone serving, a military spouse, or a Gold Star family are heroes. We ask them specific questions about what are you looking to achieve, who do you want to network with, so we can really line them up with advisors who have those resources or skills at hand. And on the advisor side, like Shawn's side, we ask, hey, what's your area of expertise? Is it media? Is it advocacy? Is it financial management? What it might be, and what are you here to help with? And so there's a matching questionnaire and a skills questionnaire and a desired outcomes questionnaire, you might say. And so once they complete their profile, they're in the platform, and just like LinkedIn, they're free to move about the cabin. They're free to move about the platform, and they can look at just the network side, meaning the human capital side, the advisors, or the other advisees. The platform's super powerful. It can search by anyone, by location, by skill set, even by branch. So I want to find only other Air Force personnel located in California. I want to find Coast Guard folks in Maryland. I want to find Gold Star spouses across the country, or Gold Star family members. So it has a variety of variables to search by. And then again, folks can go into the job section or the resource section or even the discussion section, and folks can peruse and never have any requirement to reach out to anyone, or they can jump in and they can reach out to an endless number of either advisors or fellow heroes as they wish. And so there's no demand, so there's no cost, there's no expectation. They can leverage the platform for as little or for as much as they want. And they can do it from anywhere in the world. And we have an app, and So it can be mobile or laptop or desktop or tablet. And I think the powerful thing there is they're gaining access to human capital and resources and solutions that require no case management. There's no extensive application process. No one's holding their hand. But on the other side is, their success heavily depends on their own initiative. So we kind of assume a lot with our folks, and that they're willing to not self-medicate but self-succeed, and it's upon them. But the other perspective is we kind of think, veterans bumping into veterans and veterans bumping into other folks is kind of a very natural expression.
Yeah, and that's I love what I'm hearing. And I always tell folks, find a mentor, find 10, right? Build a board of advisors in your transition, because everybody's going to have their own strengths and weaknesses, and you need people in your life to those various areas and stages and that sort of thing. And the big thing is I always tell folks is, I define a mentor as someone who has your best interest at heart, but is not impressed by you, right? And it sounds like we've got a whole community of that, right? At the Heroes Network. So I'm stoked. I honestly have not signed up, and I'm going to go sign up. So yeah, I'm actually going to be on a plane to San Francisco tomorrow. So I got plenty of time. I'm going to pay the $8 to get on the internet, and that's going to be one of my things tomorrow. So I'll be creating a profile for sure. So no, this is great stuff. Yeah,
unlike that law enforcement agency, we'll accept you. We want you.
I know, right? Yeah, they shall remain nameless, but it may not be the same municipality that I currently live in, Virginia Beach. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. No. Honestly, I mean, my transition, it was terrifying, but where I landed, I landed where I was meant to land, which is doing what I love now. So yeah. Plus, I don't work weekends, I don't work holidays, I don't work night shift and all that other. I'm not getting shot at. So there's that too. So
amen.
A lot to be said for that last piece.
yeah. You think I would have had my fair share of that in uniform, but no,
absolutely. All right, so let's start with how long have you been around? Like, how long has the Heroes Link piece been in existence? And then, what kind of things do you guys have planned for the future? Do you have anything on tap for that?
Yeah, great question. So Heroes Linked as an as an organization, as a nonprofit, as a national profit, was started about 15 years ago. Our founder, Don Shores, was a Vietnam veteran, and he was here in LA, and he realized, like many do-gooders, that the veteran community needed some help. And so he actually created a proper foundation to receive funds and then allocate it to other veteran organizations. And he himself was a pretty darn successful financial management or financial services, and he done quite well for himself, and he rallied his friends through the traditional golf tournaments and more. And he was a very tall, powerful man with a massive heart and even greater spirit. And so, bless his soul, Don. We lost Don about 2 years ago to cancer unexpectedly, which is a shame, because he was a phenomenal leader in the community. And truly, as I get more gray hairs, I'm starting to realize the importance of leaders in our community. And Don was the man that we need in this world. And so I'm proud to continue with his legacy in a small component that I get to. And so Don created Heroes Linked as an organization, had a previous name then, we've rebranded since. And for years, essentially, he was, again, receiving funds and reallocating those to other veteran organizations. And then a few of the board members, Jim Colbert, who's our current executive director, and Yola Habib Johnson, who's also part of the board, who's got a pretty substantial role in Northrop Grumman, they realized, wait, what if we create our own program where we see shortfalls in the community? So they essentially created Heroes Network. And that was about 8 years ago. And it was, for the first 4 years, there was a different program director doing a great job. Jason, thank you for your service, indeed. And he was an East Coast fellow who was, leveraging relationships out there. And then I came on board essentially as the West Coast director, or as the director, and helped manage the program nationally as well. And so now we're 100% online. We're national. There's no restrictions on where it can be used or how it can be used. For our future, and that's a great question, Shawn. The organization's board is having a SWOT right now, SWOT, and assessing where we want to go and how do we get there and where our strengths and what are our shortfalls and what resources do we have as any board and any nonprofit leadership team should do. And Heroes Network is part of that. Is where how's the program performing and what can we do better? And that's kind of as my program as a program director. That's kind of my goal every single day. Is how do we take this resource and get it into more folks' hands? How do we have more payoff stories between advisor and advisee or advisor and hero? How do we get more folks into jobs they want, or how do we get folks into to achieve their goals? It's not transitioning is not easy, whether it's day one of leaving the military and achieving life goals even 10 years, 20 years out after leaving the military isn't easy. And I'm pleased that Heroes Network accommodates veterans at any stage, veterans and the veteran community at any stage, during or after service until the final day. And so for the future, the org is looking at it proper. How can we improve on a scale where we can grow the org financially, grow the org in metrics and numbers and impact and qualitative and quantitative ways? How can we be a better nonprofit? From my perspective, I think my number one focus is how can we illustrate and ensure that the platform is inherently a place where the veteran community wants to go to connect. How do I say, yes, we're another platform, we're another variant of LinkedIn, but we're a place where there's camaraderie, connection, insight, community, resources, jobs. How do I make that obvious and then bring those folks over? We have an Equinox down the street. I used to belong to Equinox years ago. I loved Equinox, fancy gym, $200 a month, but it's not something I go to now. And so someone would have to ask me, like, why? And you're like, well, it's just a decision. Go make the decision to ensure your well-being. And so how do I essentially bring folks to something that inherently is good or helpful or improves their well-being mentally, physically, or otherwise? So
I'm still staggered by that price tag.
Right.
But to each their own, right? They know their audience and they can do what they need to do. Believe it or not, we are getting very, very close to the end already. These tend to go quickly, but I want to hear a little bit about Honor Media.
Sure.
Before we end the show. So what are you doing? What is Honor Media? What are you doing with that? What's the intent for that?
Sure. I'll be more concise in this regard. So years ago, I was at We Are the Mighty, phenomenal company that, the military brand for the military and veteran community. And I realized as a director of development for the profit side, I realized although we were putting out extraordinary original content and content about the DoD, the veteran space, about individuals, about entertainment, everything that happened in the military and veteran community, I realized there was a shortfall in the veteran advocacy or the VSO space. And what the origin story was, VSOs would reach out to me as director of development and say, hey, we've got no marketing budget, we've got no spend, but how can we get on the platform? How can we get a little bit of publicity on your massive reach and your massive capabilities? And God bless We Are the Mighty team. They worked diligently and hard and constructed, platforms that rival and surpass the DoD and VA in metrics and reach, and of course, passingmilitary.com, and it goes on and on. And so phenomenal platform, We Are the Mighty, with amazing creators. But there was a shortfall in that there was no home for the veteran advocacy community, and nowhere. Like even to this day, I believe veteran.com, is just a placeholder. There's nothing there. There's no publisher that's a home for the veteran advocacy community. And so a lot of these nonprofits put all their donor dollars into programs and services and not into marketing spends. And so what I realized was, how can I help them? And so after a short time at We Are the Mighty, I left and I launched Honor Media to serve as a fellow nonprofit where we'd be both a publisher, like give us your content, or we'll scour and we'll promote your content for free on our own platform so that veterans and the veteran community in America can go to one page where they just see the do-gooders, the philanthropists, the volunteers, the programs that are out there, the payoff stories, so they don't have to see America or they don't have to see the veteran community as PTS, TBI, MST, or 20 a day. They could hear other arcs and other narratives. And that veterans themselves can find resources. And then the second component of Honor Media was not just as a publisher, curator, but also as a content creator. And so we started running around town and shooting events for other folks in the VSO community, and 12-hour days and events and spotlights and talking heads and PSAs. And we do it for half the cost, you might say. If we have funding for it, we'll do it pro bono, as we should. If not, we do it for half the cost of anyone else, and we do it with better equipment and a better distribution platform. And then we've kind of been focused on Heroes Network, Heroes Linked, and so we've been strongly connected with them as our partner for 4 years now, and still venturing off. And so our big focus right now, in addition to Heroes Network, Heroes Linked, is launching our own docuseries, Us Veterans. And Us Veterans is a 10-part docuseries. It's a revealing day in the life of veterans that America might not otherwise meet. So we've shot 3 episodes, 7 more to go. We're trying to really reflect the spectrum of who veterans are, both in branches and in identities and in who they are. We just really want, or I really want to focus on other narratives so that America can latch on to something besides, hey, you served, did you shoot someone? Hey, you served, thank you for your service. And then end conversation. What I'd love instead to say is, hey, you served, tell me more. Hey, I saw this episode about this LGBT veteran, this Black veteran, this female veteran, this mill couple, about this entrepreneur veteran, this veteran who's in policy change. Like, there's so much more to the 20 million of us rather than just what the TV says.
That's fantastic and spot on. I think there's so much to us and our stories and what we've done, what we're doing. So I applaud your efforts for there. I think that's a great initiative.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And no shortage of content on that topic for sure. I mean, we're so diverse. Everybody's transition's so different. We're all landing in different places. That's an amazing endeavor. I love it. I can't wait to see where that ends up going. So with that said, unfortunately, Shawn mentioned we are getting towards the end of this. Yeah, this has been an amazing podcast, David. Thank you so much for joining us.
You muted yourself.
How do you do that with no hands? That's impressive. Keith, you're on mute, buddy. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Me too.
Wow.
Maybe your hands are moving.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I did mute myself. My Bluetooth cut out. I saw an alert as I'm talking. All of a sudden, I just noticed, this alert's like, your Bluetooth is cut off. And I'm like, what in the world? So I'm sorry. Well, there you go. A little bit of humor.
Good. It looked real good.
Yeah, right. Did y'all hear anything I said?
Nope.
No, not a word.
You said Shawn's your favorite person in the world, and I was your second.
Yep. Yes, very much so. So now I really got to get us closed out, because that just wasted 2 minutes of just silence and laughter. So with that said, David, thank you so much for joining us this evening. So amazing resources. So with that said, kind of twofold question. So folks that are like nonprofits, especially that are looking for some media support and that sort of thing, how can they get a hold of you for the Honor Media? And then obviously the website's out there, but if somebody has like maybe another way that they'd like to support the Heroes Network, how can they get a hold of you for that?
Yeah, thank you for that. Perfect questions on the Honor Media side. David at honormedia.org. Happy to wrap. We've done things remotely. We've done things internationally in cool ways. We can still create content for folks. We did so for Leave No Pause Behind, who was in Japan at the time with a reservist over there, which is pretty phenomenal. It can be here in LA, it can be anywhere in the country, it can be anywhere in the world. So David at honormedia.org. And on Heroes Linked, Heroes Network side, we absolutely love employment partners. We love having new advisors on the platform, or for our heroes, for those serving veterans, their spouses, and Gold Star families. If you want to join the veteran community and the professional network, heroesnetwork.org. Completely free. You can sign up anytime. No expectations. Jump in the platform and make the most of it. So at David at honormedia.org or David at heroeslinked.org, and definitely check out heroesnetwork.org. And Keith, I would love to see you on the platform as an advisor.
Oh, I'm joining. Yeah, no, it's on my to-do list. So I'm joining this weekend for sure. So, Thank you again so much for being with us. So to everybody listening, on behalf of the SOS family, we'd like to thank for all of you for joining us today. Please make sure you follow and subscribe to us on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. And remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the VET SOS Lifeline.